This is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending June 19th, 2016. For Control Talk Now, we talk all things smart controls. And hey, what would a conversation about smart controls be without the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers, the smart building controls man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Well, thank you very much, Eric, and happy Father's Day to you and all the Controltrends community members out there around the world. Hey, without dads, it wouldn't get done, would it?
There'd be no smart buildings without dads, would there? There'd just be like all kinds of shopping malls and stuff like that. Yeah, so I echo that. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, and especially you, Kenny. You got two daughters, two wonderful daughters, Stephanie and Sabrina. So,
oh, and I got some important and exciting information too.
You do? What you got going on?
Last evening, Sam and my daughter called. Sam did the old-fashioned, old-school way, which is very heartrending, and he asked my daughter to marry him, and she said yes. My daughter's engaged to Sam Davidowitz out of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, PA. It's really exciting, and we'll let everything else is going to happen and unfold as it's supposed to. But it was a delightful surprise last night. So my wife and I are tickled to death.
Congratulations! And listen, for our Controltrends community, please write this website down. DMScontrols.com, because the man, the myth, the legend is going to
DMS Controls Group.
DMScontrolsgroup.com, because the man, the myth, the legend is going to need some help paying for this next wedding. So, but congratulations, buddy. But hey, that's great stuff, buddy. That is.
It is, and you got two daughters and a son, so you got some rock and roll ahead. So.
I do. So I'm looking forward to that. So it should be a big day. But hey, buddy, I got a question for you. A very important question. Do you know the way to San Jose?
Dionne Warwick. I actually, my daughter has never heard that song, so I sent it to her, and what she could sing, huh? That was back in the hippie days. That was back in the late '60s
when you were wearing those green bell bottoms and those high heeled. I mean, platform shoes.
Platform, not high heels. Platform shoes.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're ever lucky enough to get Kenny, and we're talking about San Jose, Kenny and I are both heading out to Realcomm Ibicon. Conference will be happening next week. We will be covering it for Controltrends and for our Controltrends community. But if you ever get a chance to get the man, the myth, the legend alone, get him to tell you about his experiences in New York City in the late 70s, mid to late 70s, back in the days of Studio 54 and platform shoes and green bell bottoms. The man, the myth, the legend. Hey, it's by the grace of God that you're still with us, huh?
Yeah, it was an interesting couple of days. I was hanging out with a older crowd, but Eric, it's beautiful summer here. Finally, I don't think it's summer yet; it's still spring. But
hey, dude, hang on. Listen, forget about that. I want to hear about the pictures of you and Bianca Jagger at Studio 54, and you were hanging out with Andy Warhol. I mean, there's a TV series called Vinyl on HBO, which is all about the music industry in the 70s. And Kenny, you were right in the middle of that. You know, so I mean, don't gloss over all the topless escapades you had at Studio 54 and all that kind of stuff, man. You were right.
Actually,
in the
I
middle
never made it in. I made it to like the entrance of Studio 54. I had a guy, a friend who was he was on Wall Street. Actually worked. L.F. Rothschild, I think it was. Anyhow, he knew New York City like the back of his hands, and he said, if you ever come to New York City, I'll give you a couple nights you won't forget. And so I was on a training at Takeo Manufacturing up in Cranston, Rhode Island. I changed my flight, came back via New York City, and everything he promised came true. We had
So think the movie Wall Street with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas. What was Charlie Sheen's character's name?
I don't know. But I'll tell you what,
Gecko.
It ended on a sad note.
Michael Douglas was Gordon Gekko's, right? But we
made it to it was Adam's Apple. We had the Electric Banana, Studio 54.
Hey, now don't be talking about your Electric Banana on this show, Kenny. I mean, we're a PG rating. So listen, let's get back to the weather. You start talking to Electric.
The last night ended on a sad note. He got maced, so that was.
Yeah, you got maced. You've got maced a bunch along the way. So I tell you what. All right, buddy. So let's get back to the weather. We're going down a dark hole here.
Okay. So it's 84 degrees already, and it's gorgeous. It's sunny. We had rain like you wouldn't believe. I think we had the second rainiest season in history. Almost 3 inches the other day. But the U.S. Open's here right now, so they're finally back on course. They're out there at Oakmont. I got a chance to walk the first day of the of the Open, and it was incredible seeing those golfers. The Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup.
There you go. Yeah, Therese Sullivan is from BuildingContext.me. You got to check her out. Therese is a little bit upset about that, Kenny. So you're going to have to give her some razzmatazz when you get out there.
Oh.
Bud Fox. Bud Fox was a guy.
Some great hockey out there. Washington Caps. They're just a lot of really, really great hockey teams in Pittsburgh pulled it through. I think the young leagues we brought up in the midseason prevailed because it's such a grueling marathon playoffs. You got to win 20 games in what 36 days or something. So that's tremendous wear and tear on the body. So
well, congratulations, Kenny.
How's those Braves? They're kicking butt, right?
No, they're not kicking butt, man. Just because I was talking about your electric banana, don't be bad mouthing the Braves. Hey, listen, Kenny, let's shift gears before we get into it. We got a big show this week, lots going on. But I tell you what, a gentleman by the name of Phil Zito reached out to us. Phil is one of the greats in our industry. Phil actually has a website and a podcast. It's called Building Automation Monthly. And I tell you what, definitely check him out. We're going to get him on, but he's got a great podcast there. You can check it out. He does a bi-monthly podcast. Great website. So check them out, buildingautomationmonthly.com. And we'll be hearing more from Phil in the future.
Yeah, it's the guy's one of the sharpest knives in the drawer. I've known Phil for a while because of the Niagara posting he did, and he's just really astute. If you need any background information on IP addressing, the fundamentals, he has and he's writing a book, and he's looking for people to commit early to it. So we'll have more on it, but do go to that buildingautomationmonthly.com, and you will see a plethora and a wealth of information regarding the building automation industry.
Plethora, Kenny. I mean, come on, now get your mind out of the gutter, buddy. I mean, what is all this dirty talk this week, buddy? Cut it out. Cut it out. All right, we better get you focused, man. The man, the myth, the legend. Look, what do we have up first this week, Kenny Smyers?
I guess I said it wrong. It was a plethora, not a plethora. I did those wrong accent on the syllables. That's what it didn't sound right.
That's kind of like chlamydia, right? From Easy I.O., Mike Marston's chlamydia, right? I mean, plethora and chlamydia. Kenny Smyers, I tell you what, just because it's Father's Day and you're going to California, big dog.
I know. Well, you know what? You're right with the show. We got to pop them.
Pop them. There you go again, buddy. Cut it out. Just let's get to the first post, buddy.
This could be the biggest show we have yet because there's probably 17 or 18 posts, and they're all good. And we got to just start with Barry Gordon. When ACI is getting into the social media, they're really unleashing a very professional addressing to the industry at large. Barry Gordon had a ACI current sensors and switches monthly training session that began last Wednesday, and you streamed it live, I believe. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I actually did not get to stream it live, Kenny, but they tell me that they're going to have that reposted. In other words, it was streamed live, which is really cool. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And as you know, we are very, very much about the live streaming. So good stuff from those guys. We'll look forward to getting a copy of it. And Barry, of course, we call him Barry Flash Gordon, is one of the greats in our industry. So I think one of our first PID, Passion, Integrity, Dedication Award winners. And so great stuff. But I didn't get a chance to see it, Kenny. I had a conflict. I think you did too. But so folks at ACI, please send us a link to that video. We'll get it posted on Controltrends. So if you didn't get to go to it, you will be able to, and Barry Gordon is going to be one of the staples on Ken's calendar, and Ken will keep you updated on all of the great things you need to go to.
I will do. I will do absolute best because I really dug into that. You set me up last week, and I went to work. I hit about 8 sources of training information, and look forward to Ken's calendar. Eric, we're going to bump along right to the next post, which is the DOE. Our government is doing what it can. It's doing its share, I think, to get things rolling. The Energy Department invested more than $10 million in efficient lighting research and development. And it was really cool because we talked about Phil Zito. He's following us now. He's part of the Light Litter campaign. He sent me a very interesting link. And I think we're finally getting some traction. We're getting some of the more heavyweights in the industry focusing on it. That's all it takes. It takes takes a critical mass, that gravitational magnetism to get people drawn into it. And the Global Lighting Challenge actually comes into play here for our light litter and our Green Marines, because they're really getting down to the development of high-quality light-emitting diodes using the organic light-emitting diodes. And so they could continuously, significantly reduce the cost for American families and businesses by using less electricity. I just want to throw these numbers out real quick. Solid lighting research and development has contributed more than $2.8 billion in energy cost saving over the past 15 years. So that's some chump change to think about. But what we're trying to do is by 2030, solid-state lighting could reduce national lighting electricity by nearly half, which would equate to the total energy consumed by 24 million American homes today. It could save American families and businesses $26 billion annually. So this is no funny thing. This is something about, saving the environment, reducing waste, energy waste, and really and truly take that money and put it into something else, like maybe education or something that we could really use.
Well, Kenny, real quick, just to get sort of some stable datum here for if our listeners out there, if you've not heard Kenny and I refer to light litter, it's a term that Kenny coined, and essentially we all see it everywhere. If you go outside during the day, a bright sunny day like you have in Pittsburgh today, I guarantee you're going to see some lights, some parking lot lights on, or usually you see them a lot around the government institutions, which is really, really ironic. Like a lot of the public transportation, the lights will be on a bright sunny day. And typically what's happened is the time clock or the photo sensors come out of calibration. And as Kenny said, this equates to a ton of money. And if you're in the industry, you know how easy this problem is to fix. It's simply a matter of going in and either tweaking the time clock or adjusting the photo cell or adding a photo cell. So the Green Marines is another coin that Kenny termed, which is basically we created a Facebook page called the Green Marines. You can join that. You can actually upload photos of light litter, and then we're hoping that then we can reach out to the offending parties, and they will take steps to eradicate the light litter. But it's also a great opportunity for you controlled salespeople out there. If you're riding around and you see light litter, drive on in. It's usually the property management people are unaware that there's an issue, and it's a great way to get introduced or introduce yourself and maybe go and fix the problem and win a customer over. I can tell you from experience, Kenny, when I go in and you talk to the tenants in some of these shopping centers where there is light litter, typically if the lights are on in the day, it means that they're off at night, which is now a safety issue, right? So you go from an energy issue to a safety issue. So the property management people are usually very, very appreciative if you reach out, give them a phone call and say, hey, did you know your lights are on during the day and off at night? I can help you fix that. So it's a great business opportunity, but at the same time, it helps us solve light litter.
Well said. And, I think, again, we keep at it. We keep driving those nails in there. We're gonna get some attention, and you'll probably get somebody with some political potency and power to enact something, not just incentives, but some kind of like to do with water. If you waste water, it's a consequence. So we shouldn't waste energy. I know that
right.
Things happen, accidents happen, but I mean some of these, like when you're driving down the road and there's 3 miles of lighting on, that's a shame.
Well, right, speaking of potency and beautiful. I mean, a beautiful part of the industry, Ken. I mean, you did a fantastic interview. I mean, it's like you put your Studio 54 moves on, and tell us about our next post, buddy.
Actually, you know what? The better of the two interviews wasn't recorded because we had a video glitch, if I remember correctly. And then
I forgot to turn the camera on.
It was a good take one, so let's do it again. But Emily Weisenesale did a great job, and I'll tell you why. Because we have some moments where what we do is fun, and I'll tell you what, she was a very affable person. It was fun because she said, you got to be kidding, and she did a little dance jig at the end of the interview. But on a serious note, Emily is the product manager for the Niagara Marketplace, which updates the Controltrends community on the growth of Tridium's newest innovation, the Niagara Marketplace. Now, this is a groundbreaking website that connects businesses looking to harness the power of the Internet of Things with the experts that make it happen. The Niagara Summit was a great venue to just to show all the people there how it's growing and how the ecosystem with the Niagara framework is just globally evolving. So it was a creative opportunity for third-party products and solutions to sell to the global Niagara community 24/7. So the success of the Niagara Marketplace has already been immediate, but it's growing exponentially because it uses the benefits of the social media and the things that we've always maintained were important in the new marketing presentations and how critical it was the message and the filtering of the message. But on this marketplace, the Niagara Marketplace, you can preview the satisfaction ratings and the users' comments of the already users for this. The systems integrators already tried it and can say, yeah, I really love this thing, or this thing really works. This was a time saver, money saver, blah, blah, blah. And that's what it's all about.
Well, I think the marketplace, and this gets back to just what Niagara, kind of how Nino DeCosmo, the CEO and president of Niagara, sort of rolling that business into being more encompassing, right? So, with the App Store, people like AI out of Oklahoma City can come out with a great app, for example, which we should have on doing a live stream. We'll tell you more about that next month. But it gives you, if you're an integrator, you develop off the Niagara platform, which is a great platform to develop off of, gives you a way to share these apps with other integrators or users and make a little bit of extra money. So it's really cool stuff. I think Emily's doing a great job with that, Kenny. And,
hopefully our Control Trends audience can see Emily.
Oh, we can see her.
Cool.
Well, but we also see the grin on your face too, buddy. You were kind of happy doing it. You weren't complaining about having to do a take two. She was.
Hey, you know what? There's the ups and downs. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. Yeah.
So just a little clue: if you're out there in the Control Trends community and we show up with a camera to interview you, just make sure I've got the camera turned on. Kenny usually doesn't make that mistake, or Rob Allen or Mike Bonner, but sometimes if I'm behind the counter, I forget to hit the red button.
Not very often. That was an anomaly. All right, Eric. Next up, we have the Blue Ridge Technology. We have Blue Ridge Technologies lights up the Niagara Summit product show with a new product. I really like this play on words, and that's really good stuff. That puns that just rolls into it and shines a new spotlight on a great product. Bill Dunkleberger.
Well, hang on, Kenny. I got to talk about Bill real quick. So, and I think I actually start the interview. Bill is one of the coolest guys in our industry. I mean, absolutely one of the coolest guys. And I say, Kenny, that a product is only as cool as the guy that invents it or the guy that runs the company. And we got some really cool executives in our industry: Mike Marston, Mark Peacock, Terry Swope, but Bill Dunkleberger. So, how do you describe Bill? Well, first of all, Bill is definitely his own man. He's like a cowboy. I accuse him of being like Sons of Anarchy meets the Albert Einstein Club, because he's absolutely brilliant. But, Bill is a guy that he's total integrity, kind of like Terry Swope and some of the others, right? And this guy, he's got an earring, he's got the beard, he's cool. He's the type of guy that if you're ever in a bar fight, you want him on your side. You don't want to be on the other side from him. But this guy started, Kenny, sweeping the floors at ALC,
right,
and then eventually wound up being president of the company, and then it's a great story. I won't. I think Bill tells it on some of the interviews we have, so I won't go into it. But needless to say, this guy, because of his background in building automation controls, has developed a product with the systems integrator in mind, and it is worth a look. And at one of the phases in the video, Kenny, I asked him how much his training costs, because they're big on training. He goes, free. It's free. It's just the way this guy rolls. It's free. Hey, if we have a product, we shouldn't be charging you to get trained on it. If we have a product, we shouldn't be charging you for tech support. He's just that type of guy, man. So he's about as cool as they come.
He's got a great staff too. His technical support folks won the best technical support for a small corporation last year. And the unified lighting control, again, it completes the BAS composite. It gives you, eliminates the silos and incorporates the lighting and HVAC controls in the same network using BACnet. And it's really well thought out, because, like you said, Bill's background lends credence to why he designed it this way and why it's very beneficial to a systems integrator. If you try it, I'm sure it's going to catch your attention. The idea is to get in early and get it specified, because as we know that the old regime, the old school way is to put these things in separate silos, separate specification parts, so that you can assure that you create a disparate protocol that cannot be linked by any other way but your company. So, I mean, I don't blame anybody trying to do that. People are going to make a living and whatever, but I really truly think that you got to come right out front and know that things have to be open to the point that of the user, the end user's content. They have to, if they want an open spec, please try to give it to them, because it's just the hardships you create, not just at the onset, but down the road. It's an immense obstacle to overcome and expensive. And I think those days they're slowly but surely dwindling.
Well, I think they are, Kenny. I think the other thing that's going on too is that pretending is no longer you're going to get vetted out. In other words, if you pretend that you're open and you're not really open, and open, among other things, Kenny, includes, I mean, obviously the backnet protocols or LAN protocols, open protocols, that's part of it. But the big part of it is really, it boils down to choice. To be truly open, you have to have multiple people that you can buy the product from. You, as an owner, have to have access to the same programming tools and same training that your integrator has. So it really is about choice. And if you're pretending to be open and you're not, you're going to get called out, especially at places like Realcomm, Ibicon. We're going to be at that boot camp where the real estate folks are teaching the new real estate folks about, what they need to do to get on the board with technology. And I remember the first one we went to 2 years ago, first thing they talked about was open, and that the choice is really, really the big thing there. And if you're not sure about the choice, you can reach out to the man, the myth, the legend, somebody like Phil Zito or us. Among other things, just make sure your Jace has an open NIC statement in it. And as long as you got an open NIC statement in it, it'll be open and other people can work on it. And make sure your controllers, that the programming tool to program the controllers is available to you if you're an owner, and to your people, or that there are multiple integrators that have access to that programming tool.
I had a very interesting conversation with a very large director of facilities for a very large application. And, he said something interesting that open is a prerequisite, but not necessarily open to the point where people that aren't qualified can get in. So, I mean, it was very interesting how he kept clarifying what he meant by open. In other words, like you just said, open NIC statement, backnet protocol, but he still wanted people that had the certifications. So there's been a lot of occurrence in our industry where you get a surrogate expert to come in to fulfill a requirement, but in the specification it said you had to be X certified, or you had to use Niagara framework or whatever. Somehow these folks that aren't truly certified or whatever, they're able to get into a contract, and then they hose it up from the inside, because they're trying to cut corners because they never went to the certification. They really and truly didn't know what it meant, but because they have like a manufacturer's stamp that they're a contractor doing business with them, it can be taken out of context, and they can assume that they can assume the profile of a much more experienced certified contractors. There's a lot of gamesmanship going on,
Well, there is, and that is the downside to it, Kenny. In other words, if I was a proprietary system, right, that's the argument I would have to an owner, is that, hey, if it's open, you might get somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So I think it does not relieve a user or a consulting engineer of doing their homework and really checking out the integrator to make sure they truly are qualified, maybe reaching out and talking to some of their customers. I mean, but it's the same thing with equipment. It's the same thing anywhere. If you get low bid on bid day, you better be checking them and making sure that they can deliver on what they promise. So yeah, it does not relieve the owner or the engineer of doing their homework on that integrator, but it does give the owner choice.
Well said. And I think that's again, as we keep redefining things, I think we're getting a better understanding. And there's people out there working on really good specs, and let's face it, it's the iteration, reiteration, iteration, so that every time we do it, it gets a little bit better, it gets a little bit more developed, and a little bit more on target.
But hey, Kenny, I'm setting this next one up, okay? Because, I mean, I tell you what, I mean, if you're doing graphics and graphic designs, and if you have anything to do with how things look, you better dress right. And who are the best dressed group in our industry, in your opinion?
Oh, it's got to be the folks from DGLogik, the Men in Black.
The Men in Black. And why do we call them the Men in Black? Because they make Armani, Versace, you name it, the top designers in the world, they make their clothes look better, and they insist on black because you can't go wrong with black. And when you get dressed in black, once you go black, you just don't go back. So tell us about our next post, Kenny Smyers.
Well, Eugene, we got to defend him because one or two of the videos come up now. He's in a gray suit,
What?
So,
no.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
Kenny, get your eyes checked.
Hey, listen, he looks sharp. He doesn't have to worry about what colors. But I think the whole image thing is correct, and it's a good lead-in because DGLogik has probably the sexiest graphics and visual presentation that I've ever seen. There's a lot of good ones out there. I'm not saying that they're the only one, but they certainly have done a stylish presentation that's very, very it's designed to meet the best human reception. So in other words, these guys went out to psychologists. They did their homework. they invested a ton of money on finding out where the human eye, how it reacts, how it sees, what it likes, and how to best do that, put data into the best visual presentation. So if you ever go on their website, you really look into how deep they dive into this. It's very impressive. But then that's one aspect of it. But the next thing you got to do is you got to be able to put this stuff. You got to make money selling graphics, and you got to make it profitable. And the harder it is, the least likely that's going to be the result. So how you can do a format that's easy to use, easy to understand, easy to normalize, easy to install, easy to customize, at a budget that meets your budget constraints. That's why the Project Assist and the new abilities of DGLux, especially with the Project Assist 2.0 for facilities. It's a drag and drop application builder. It allows users to easily create custom HTML5 interfaces, which is the game. That's the whole thing where you're displaying building performance and energy consumption. So again, fast, simple, intuitive user experience with a flexible and customized tool. So go on the website. They have 1,000 ways to be contacted. I know you guys do a great job of selling DGLogik.
We like it a lot. And Arthur goes through on this video we have posted. He goes through a really nice demo of how Project Assist works. It saves a lot of money, and got to check these guys out. But Kenny, I have a very serious question for you, because I completely concur about the style, the looks of things, and so on and so forth. How much luckier would you have been back at Studio 54 in your days gallivanting around New York City back in the disco days if Eugene Mazzo and the Men in Black had dressed you and been a style consultant? I mean, I got to figure the green bell bottoms had to have been pretty cool, but somehow I can't see Eugene or Arthur or Dennis or the rest of the team at DG rocking those even in the 70s. How much luckier would you have been?
I think what we have to do is we have to break that answer down into components. And the first one was that probably none of them were born when I was in that in my baseball. Don't you remember the baseball sleeves with the wide lapel thing? I mean, it was like a uniform. But I wasn't the only one out there. I mean, that was a total discotheque. And I'm talking John Travolta was probably got the whole thing rolling. Was at the Saturday Night Fever and Bee Gees.
So did you have a white suit and a black silk shirt?
I don't think I had a white suit. I certainly had silk shirts though. I mean, come on! Are you trying to deny your participation?
No, I thought that was Jimi Hendrix back then, dude. So I had the velvet jacket and the peacock.
You had a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You did a different ensemble.
I wasn't into disco, buddy. I wasn't into disco at all. I'd go to discos to try to meet women, but I thought I was Jimi Hendrix. So it was like, hey, I'm into acid rock, that kind of stuff. But I was a big Jimi Hendrix fan too. And I'll tell you what, though, I have a feeling that if a disco song comes out, and I'll be watching you, and it does, I bet you know exactly what to do. I got to tell you something. As much as I disliked disco back in the day, my son Axel, who's just started walking, and in the morning I get the kids and I'll play music, right? But if he's got two songs. There's an opera song if he hears, no matter where he is, he'll come crawling or running into the room, and he'll get right in front of the stereo and just sit and listen to it. But the other one he loves is Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Man, he hears Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, and now that he can stand up, he sits there and he tries to dance around. He loves Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. So yeah.
No, everybody has the memories of their eras, but the whole world was saturated with this disco thing. And I remember one of the coolest things in the world when we were young. We'd drive by these like the Holiday Inns and whatever, and they would feature dance lessons Saturday night, disco lessons from like 6 to 8.
All right, I tell you what, let's do this, buddy. Let's do this. So I know we got podcast listeners and we've got the video watchers, because I can't wait to hear Mark Peacock's answer to this. But reach out and comment. So if you're on the podcast, you got to go to ControlTrends.org. You'll see the post. Reach out in comments. Tell us your era, your favorite song, and submit a picture if you have a picture of yourself back there. But describe what you wore, because obviously the man, the myth, the legend was wearing high-heeled shoes and green bell bottoms and a baseball shirt.
Why do you say high-heeled shoes all the time? It wasn't high-heeled shoes.
Just to mess with you, buddy. Just to mess with you. But Kenny, hang on. The best 3 answers will get 2 tickets to the 2016 Control Trends Awards out in Las Vegas. So yeah, let's get this going. Let's find out a little bit about our community. I can't wait to hear what Mike Marston has to say. Can you imagine what he was wearing and what he was listening to? Mike Marston would be one. Mark Peacock could be another. So let's definitely reach out. Reach out in the comments. give us a description. You got to leave your name, email, 2 tickets to Control Trends Awards. Plus, who knows? Maybe maybe we'll get you a makeover from the Men in Black at DGLogik. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll make it really special for you. All right, buddy. Let's get to the next post, big dog.
Okay, well, we got Rick Warner.
Rick Warner, the innovator.
Innovator, yes. Insights from the innovator at the 2016 Niagara Summit. Again, we were talking about those. The low bid isn't necessarily the right bid, but Rick, that'll get him started. Rick is, he is one of the, again, he's been in the industry a long time. He's been through some of the factories, worked for factories, manufacturers, so he knows the inside, behind the lines. He knows our industry down to the code, and he has a series of suffixes after his name: P-E, L-E-D, L-E-E-D, B, C, and D. So examinations. He's a CEM, he's a DCEP, he's a CXA, and he's an EBCB, along with the president and owner of OME Engineering. So, I mean, this guy really and truly knows the fabric of our business. And so when he says something, we listen, and it's always been very positive. He had some really good things to say about the Tridium's open development approach. He went through the boot camp down there, and he's really excited too, because if you release the framework into this open AP, a whole new group of developers are going to develop apps. So by sharing information and collaborating and getting the ecosystem involved, you're going to see an evolution of products that are they weren't necessarily designed for HVAC applications, but the solutions that they offer and the technologies that they merge into our technologies are going to create these hybrid technologies that are going to be extraordinary, take facilities to the next level in energy and operational efficiencies.
Well, I tell you what, his number one title, I can't believe he didn't list this one, is SPIR, S-P-I-R, smartest person in the room, because Rick really is the smartest person in the room. And listen, we've got some posts. Rick did some great posts that are on Control Trends. If you search under Rick Warner, you can see these where he actually brings people in talking about data centers and so on and so forth. Rick has been very gracious with his time with us, Kenny. I mean, I think he's just gotten extremely busy, but he told us out at the Niagara Summit that he would be coming back on Control Trends. So be sure to check this post out. And Kenny, I thought, are you a smear too?
No, I'm a smear half.
Half smear.
Half smear, but I don't like that whole. I
think Cher wrote a song about that once, didn't she? Half smear.
It's Cher. We're bouncing around here pretty good, because our next post takes us back into the granular side of the business, where it's just down to hardware, software, and performance. And I'll tell you, the contemporary controls, I really enjoy the way they're moving and grooving, because if you spend the time to read what you're doing, you learn from just the postings of what's going on, what are the new specifications, what's the new requirements. And so there's a Contemporary Controls Distributor News, June 2016. And I thought that it was cool. That it reminds me like the Star Wars, where you have the forces growing. So the BAS automation force is growing. George Thomas and his team at Contemporary Controls have developed kind of like, speak softly and carry a big stick style, your old Teddy Roosevelt. By the way, I was listening to this President series, and boy, was he an interesting guy. I don't know how I did a segue there, but or a digression, I suppose is a better choice of words. But these guys have one of the most powerful open building automation systems in the BAS world, and they've just invested a lot of money to come up or to have available next gen production. So they spend a lot of money on IBM machines that create a tremendous product on a highly engineered profile footprint that produces these controllers that will just keep taking them up and up and up. So they've got the technical support. Now they have the marketing collateral to make Contemporary Controls continue in the North American and global market penetrations. They have, again, new production machines, enhanced application development and compatibility tools, as well as a thoroughly refreshed and redesigned website that make Contemporary Controls a very attractive partner and a serious contender for your next integration project. So you got to check these guys out. They really are putting to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. George Thomas, one of our favorite people. Well, we inducted him in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And later in the show, we'll talk about a video. We did catch up with George at the 2016 Niagara Summit product showcase. And he was showing us a lot about, what they're doing. Some people seem to be moving away from Sedona. George seems to be embracing it. But these guys, Kenny, are the great educators. As we talk about in the video coming up with George, they got a great series on BACnet, so be sure to check those guys out. Right?
They sure do, and they have a again the architecture tree they put out is a very good one. The visualize, integrate, control, and communicate. Let's see if I can bring this up real quick.
No, I already brought it up. Okay, yeah, you got it.
Can you see that?
Yeah,
because it just shows you how they interface with their network controller architecture. The BACnet IP, BACnet MSTP. Modbus RTU, Modbus TCP, and they've got everybody and their brothers controls on that network, So we're looking at the BAS20s, we're looking at RIB IOs, Cube IOs, we're looking at Honeywell Spiders, we're looking at Wattnode, we're looking at all kinds of interesting, a true plugfest of integration. So this allows integrators to pick the best in choice so that when they're trying to come up and provide, a solution. Again, the innovation, the way we're going to have to survive, Eric, is you can't fit a square peg into a round hole anymore. You can't sell somebody a 24-point I/O controller when they need a 4-one. So everybody that's making this thing easier, and yet it still has to be modular and it still has to be networkable. So you don't put somebody, you don't paint them into a corner. So I think that that folks like the Contemporary Controls have a very future, a very fortuitous future, because they're actually empowering people that have the smarts. They're giving them the parts, and they're going to produce the solutions of the future.
Well, I think George Thomas, his title is the TH smear, the real smartest person in the room, because George is about as smart as they get, as you'll see in the video we have coming up a little bit later in the show. All right, Big Dog, what do you have up next?
Well, I'll tell you, next up is a great job. But, again, I think you were on a roll here. I think that you had a really solid week there at that. If we were talking about, a batting streak or whatever, the videos we generated and the interviews you did at the 2016 Niagara Summit captured, I think, one of the most current, collection of mental thought of our business. In other words, we talked to, only product managers, vice presidents, CEOs, owners. So we're working with some of the true, leaders of our industry. And another one coming up here was KMC. I mean, this guy could pitch as well as anybody I've ever seen. I mean, we kind of caught him off guard, but Richard Newberry just took a deep breath, sat down, and bang, you asked him the questions, and he answered. This guy is sharp. Tell us about that interview.
Well, you're right, Kenny. Richard Newberry is one of the sharpest guys out there. He is I think his official title is a president of KMC. He was CEO for a while. He's mentoring the third generation at KMC. We talk a lot about KMC Controls, family-owned business, American business. I mean, started by Ken Kruder back in the, I think, early 60s. But Richard is a guy that went out, and one of the things we talk about with Richard is we talk about KMC's really got a viable candidate in the race to the small space. And the race to the small space is a term Kenny and I coined. I think Richard said there are over 5 million buildings in the U.S. alone that have no form of energy management in them. And part of that is just the products were too expensive to get the payback on. And Richard went out, he partnered with, and KMC partnered with Dell and Intel to create a control system called the Commander. And the Commander is kind of encompasses everything in one box. It's designed specifically for the smaller spaces. All right, so it's very price competitive to the point, Kenny, that some service contractors will be offering this as you sign a 5-year service agreement with us, we'll throw this control system in for free because we'll be able to monitor and do all kinds of great stuff for you remotely. So these guys are enlightened. They're down to earth, but Richard Newberry is about as sharp as they come. He might be, I think he's a smear too, buddy.
Well, I think that's what I mean. The guys we were talking to were the home run hitters of the industry. In other words, his title is kind of interesting. He's advisor to the chairman,
That's right.
At KMC Controls. He directs all business and development activities as well as product development, operations, marketing, and financial activities as the acting CEO. So he provides leadership to the senior management team, and it's just I think it's why KMC is going through. We know that Eric is a very progressive, innovative young gun.
Eric Kruder, yep.
Eric Kruder. So I mean, having this tutelage. How's that? Tutelage or tutorial? Daily
Dude,
tutorial,
man, you just impressed me with your pronunciation of all these really tough words, man. I mean, we should just have you do a vocab course for everybody.
I'm getting disappointed that it's becoming so hard. I used to be able to spit this stuff out. Now I'm tripping over simple words.
Tutelage.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's how you happen. And I get a kick out of Ken St. Clair because I mean he really he just like puts it out there and says, we need a mind meld that occurs from generation to generation. And some of it's done through word of mouth and networking, physically, mentally being in the same proximity, working for people. That's very important, but a lot of this stuff we needed to get somewhere that maybe digitalized, maybe on Controltrends we'll have a permanent archival history of some of the great executives of our business. That's our game plan. But to hear these people talk and to know the walk that we're in right now. In other words, our industry evolves, probably radically, maybe like every 4 to 6 years, but it changes incrementally every day, every month, every product. And so to be on top of all those things, you really truly have to have a lot of time to familiarize yourself with technology. You have to have hands-on knowledge of how things work. You have to have backgrounds on not just controllers and hardware, but you need to know now the software, and you need to know the IT things that make that software relate and integrate and collaborate. So it's like Ken St. Clair, we need as much of this as possible to collect the thoughts and the attentions of these very, very prominent CEOs, so that the younger CEOs can look at this and actually see some mentorship. They're exposed to it, they understand what's going on. They'll of course create their own version of it, but I mean, there's a lot of sharp guys here that we collected commentary from during that last 2016 summit.
I think what makes us so attractive to these guys, Kenny, is we're so non-threatening, because nobody would ever accuse me or you of being, they might accuse you of being a smear, but me, it's like a deer with the headlights in the, hey, speaking of Ken St. Clair and Young Guns, so here's an update from Rob Allen, who we've been sort of shaming about not doing a Young Guns video cast with Brad White, our two resident Young Guns. I was talking to Rob. I think they're going to do a Young Guns podcast, so maybe once a month. So check that out. But Rob's going to be with us out and at the Realcomm Ibicon show, so you get a chance to see him. Rob does a great show called 7 Minutes in Control, which you can find on the Controltrends website. So good stuff there. But yeah, Richard Newberry was a great guy to talk with, Kenny. And then you go from Richard Newberry to Controltrends around the world. We had our buddies Alfredo Melnik and Carlos Roman from Mexico City. So those fellas, we got a chance to catch up with them with the product showcase. They're our correspondents in Mexico City. So we're really trying to do Controltrends around the world. So great little video with them catching up with those guys. It's MRSoluciones.com is their website, but a big market in Mexico, and these guys are right in the thick of it.
Well, there sure is. I mean, we're talking the post you'd mentioned with some current numbers again. We're in an industry that's $55 billion big and wide and global, so worldwide. And Mexico, like India, like China, is one of these emerging economies where they will play a prominent role in this growth. And there's a great opportunity for people that are the technology wizards and the equipment manufacturers. They see, I'm sure they've got their agents down there, the manufacturer reps and distribution channel down there. But we're talking about Mexico City being like 11 million and growing. So they've got some programs there that are going to put money to fix problems and to evolve their Mexico and their primary cities into smart city development projects. And these guys are working on them. Yeah, these guys are really good. And I'll tell you what's really nice about it is they're so intelligent and friendly. And they actually follow Controltrends earnestly, because the invitation for us to link communications with them you couldn't deny it. These guys are on top of the markets. There's smart guys down there, and they're going to start keeping us informed of what's going on in Mexico, so that because we got some information now from Australia, we got stuff from UK, we got stuff from Germany, we got stuff from Canada all the time. We've got stuff from India that's really developed in the Controltrends India. So what I think is happening, Eric, is we're just putting some of the dots on the globe, and we're keeping this information flowing. So we're going to have a Controltrends, global Controltrends community that really and truly shares and collaborates. So if you want to know something, you can reach out to us, and we can connect you to the heads of state, so to speak, in our industry in Mexico or whatever. If you're going to India, we can hook you up with Samir Pradhan, and he can take care of you there. We can hit you up with Richard in Australia, Mike in England. So it's really turning into being a very connected Controltrends community.
Well, it really is. And so listen, Alfredo and Carlos, you heard the post earlier about what you guys were doing in the 70s. Who was your music? What were you listening to? What was your sort of persona back in the day when you guys were out and about? Same thing for our friend Samir Prada over at Controltrends Indy. You can check him out at controltrends.in. So Samir, what were you doing back in the day when Kenny Smyers was at the Studio 54 with his green bell bottoms and platform shoes? Again, those guys are younger than us, so maybe it was the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, but we want to know what you were doing. And speaking of that, Kenny, our next post, we got our correspondent from Down Under, Richard McElhaney. So tell us a bit about Richard and his product, Plant Pro.
Well, the interesting thing about Richard is he's another guy that's been around a long time. He comes out of the England, I believe. I'm pulling up some of his specs, but Richard's also very big on the Project Haystack. In fact, he's on the board. He was one of the first members. But he works with Airmaster, and Airmaster's product solution features Plant Pro. It is one of the premier energy software programs that is designed, again, for the Australian market. So when efficiency goes up, costs go down, everybody understands, and that's what Plant Pro features. They have the ability to get into your plant control systems. They can evaluate your cost of applications, and then they can really truly put together their technology. They're experts on chiller plants, and they put this control at your fingertips, so that what you have is a fully integrated plant management and reporting system. And again, he's a very sharp guy. And another thing too, a common denominator of all the people we've mentioned, that they're all smart as smart gets, but they also have a passion and they enjoy your job. And I think so. The hard part in growing up in today's society is finding work that you like to do, finding people that you like to work with. But if you can and you develop a passion, it doesn't seem like work. It doesn't seem oppressive. It seems like you can't wait to see if this thing's going to start working. You can't wait to the next sequence. You can't wait to the next meeting where you're going to do a presentation and see if these people are going to buy into the next technologies that you provide. So it really is interesting, and it's fun when you work with people that really like their job.
No, absolutely true. And Richard is our official, I think is going to take on the official capacity of being our Controltrends consultant down under. It's a great video. You get a real feel for how beautiful that product interface is that they have. And again, like you said, very articulate guy. And then Kenny, that brings us up to our friend George Thomas, Contemporary Controls. Again, we caught up with him at the product showcase. So we have a great video where you can sort of see some of George's newest products, specifically how they interface with Sedona and how they work with that. So that's a great video. And then last but not least, Kenny, we have our friends from Lynxspring, Chris Ryan, young gun Chris Ryan,
Sure.
one of the sharp guys at Lynxspring, sort of walks us through Lynxspring's, the theme of the, and I think this is a really good point for us to sort of wrap it up with, because the focus this week has primarily been on the, the Niagara Product Showcase, 2016 Niagara Product Showcase, and as you know, the theme was Edge to Enterprise, right? And I think that if you look at Lynxspring, they've got it all, but one of the really cool products they have, Kenny, is their Onyx series of edge controllers, which basically allows you to gather data and control at the edge, as well as push that or pump it. I think they came up with the data pump. So they actually have, for example, a backnet to haystack data pump, which is a cool interface. But Chris walked us through their Onyx series of controllers, as well as some other cool stuff.
Sure does. And yeah, we jumped around a little bit because Chris had just come back from India, and there's a perfect connection of the dots. Technology and leadership. North American market opportunities, needs in the new developing market, and bingo. You got some rubber hitting the road over there, and we're real excited and anxious to see how well we do because and I think you got to put the pressure on age, but Chris is young and he's dynamic and he's excited. He looked at that as an opportunity where, man, this is what it's all about, to go into an opportunity with an application that can really make a difference. Plus put money on the table. Put Lynxspring is kicking butt, and the reason why is because they've got a great assembly, a product portfolio of great products, both hardware, software, and solutions, so they can put these applications into play. They've taken a real hard look at cybersecurity, and they've got some great technical support. Namely, Chris and his staff are the guys that he works with, and we've interviewed probably 3 or 4 of them, but to include the director of marketing, Mark Petuck. So they got a great assembly of staff, great team, great products, and they're doing very well. So congratulations to Lynxspring.
Definitely check those guys out. And speaking of Mark Petuck, if you are a Control Trends fan, Mark Petuck is always our MC Master Ceremonies at the Control Trends Awards, and the Control Trends Awards were ramping up. Special thanks joining our list of sponsors already. Honeywell, Larry Weber came on this week as a platinum sponsor, so Honeywell will be there. Johnson Controls, Chris Eichmann came on, and Gary Weber from Belimo. So Belimo is now a platinum sponsor too. So Kenny, the good news is it looks like we're getting close to break even. So it looks like we're going to probably have another Control Trends show. It'll be Sunday night before AHR in Las Vegas. A lot more to come, but if you're planning on going to the AHR show, which you should, just make sure you get there Sunday so you can come in Sunday night and go to the Control Trends Awards.
Yeah, and you're right. January 29th, that's Sunday. That's going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe right there off the Strip. It's going to be a great opportunity to get wet the whistle after you put up your trade show booths. If you come into town, you're probably going to be traveling on Sunday anyhow, so it is a great place to unwind before the show. Take your customers, the sponsors. We have Neptronic, we have Vicon, we have Siemens, we have EasyIO, and Blue Ridge Technology joining the group there. So we have a great host of major Control Trends sponsors that are going to make it's going to be a great show again.
Going to be a
early June, but I tell you what, make your calendar moves now because things are filling up and it's going to be another great year.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who were at the Niagara Summit and saw Mark's co-host, the lovely Kim Brown from Cochran Supply. Kim will be the co-host again this year. And yes, she does have a new haircut. And yes, she's looking even more fabulous than ever. So, you're obviously come to see the Control Trends Awards. Mark has great sense of humor and great personality, and Kim adds the beauty to it. So it's going to be a great show. And speaking of that, Mark Petuck, if you're out there, we want you to confirm or deny because we're talking about our younger years. Now, about a decade after Kenny was traipsing around Studio 54 in his green bell bottoms and platform shoes, Mark Petuck, it is rumored, he was there in the late 80s, early 90s, and that he was dating and squiring around. It was the age of the supermodels, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelisi, Naomi Campbell, Steffi Seymour. And rumor has it, Mark, we'd like for you to confirm this in comments, that you dated all of them back then, that you were sort of the model's go-to guy. So we'd like to hear from Mark on that. But we'll be seeing Mark next week in San Jose, Kenny. I think you and I better both get to Father's Day if we're going to be able to celebrate again, at least be married again next year. So anything else you want to say before we hop off, Big Dog?
Oh, no, but that's a great wind up there. And yeah, we just want to remind everybody that next week is the IBCon, RealCom. IBCon starts out there June 21st through the 24th. At the Smart Connected High Performance Intelligent Building Conference in San Jose. I'm looking forward to working with the panel members I have. We're going to be doing the HVAC in the commercial integrated buildings, keeping pace with change. A formidable cast of people on the booth, on the panel. And we're looking forward to some interviews out there. We're going to see Therese Sullivan. We're going to see Ken St. Clair. we may be interviewing Jim Sinopoli, featuring his new book, amongst 10 or 15 other things.
We got Optico. We'll be seeing our new friends from Optico out there as well. So we will be, hitting some of the booths with products that we haven't seen. We'll be doing a day 1, day 2, day 3 sort of summaries. So as we typically do at these events, and I might even get like a hidden camera in my hat or something, so we can follow the man, the myth, the legend around, so you can see what he does when he's not on camera.
Why would you waste people's time on that?
Kenny, man, you know, the only thing that's changed since you in the '80s is, man, you don't have the green bell bottoms and the platform shoes anymore, man. You're still a major player, man.
Oh no, not true. I am. Eric Stromquist. Here we go. I'm gonna have to hit you back here if you keep it up.
Hey, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead here, big dog, because like I said, we got Father's Day to get to. Again, congratulations on your second daughter's marriage. I know that Sabrina got married about 2 years ago, so congratulations there. So with that, Kenny Smyers, we wrap up another week on Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings VideoCast and podcast. We appreciate all our listeners and viewers out there. So you can subscribe to the podcast at the iTunes Store, at Stitcher Radio. We'll put a link in the bottom there. So if you like that, tell a friend. Well, with that, Kenny Smyers, thanks to everybody. Have a great Father's Day. Remember, be bold and stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. Unless, of course, you're at Studio 54 and you want to get totally out of control, right?
Well, we'll talk about Paris now. Dance around the circle there.
Yeah, I'm proud of that, buddy. Huh? I'm proud of that. Hang on.